some background. The economic recovery after World War II quickened the pace of cultural globalization. The spread of cultural imperialism began with cheap transistor radios that brought everyone, including people in remote villages, news, along with CDs and tapes. Television became about and was popular by the 1960s. After that, the telegraph, the postal service, radio, broadcast, and the VCR all were invented. Satellite transmission of TV signals enabled TV stations like CNN and MTV to be discovered. Then, in the 1960s, internet became available and was of interest of people everywhere.
Popular culture moved from a local tradition to a global market as technology expanded throughout the 20th century and international markets were established. As technology advanced and spread, so did the perception that people had of it. For most of history, popular culture was folk culture, or localized forms of dress, food, music, and expression. But as companies began to explore international markets, the same singers, food, brands, and movies became popular around the world. The view what was a specific local custom turned into was trivial and dumbed down as some people saw it. Popular culture was highly criticized for being less advanced because it needs a unanimous acceptance around the world.
Though most of the technology and inventions were derived from the United States, Japan, and East Asia, have taken over the manufacture and refinement of most of these products.
Said that the Middle East is on some level done that it rejects all Western culture, but this is not entirely true. For example, McDonald's and KFC, big contenders in consumerism in the United States, are dominating these regions. But now the Middle East is seeing some progress in the struggle to accept the Western culture. Now big fast food chains are relocating themselves from the United States to the Middle East. Although there are still some changes being made, for example, women and children are not allowed to eat with men other than their husbands. Although they have a long ways to
Hi, I'm author of The Chinese Century, and I am here to discuss consumerism in East Asia, as it does have its pluses and minuses. You can look at consumerism in Japan, for example. As we all know, Japan embraced Western culture fairly quickly with Emperor Meiji. So now the results are apparent. You've all heard of big companies in Japan such as Mitsubishi or Sony or Nintendo. Japan has worked hard to industrialize so that these companies can become household names. As always, there is speculation that with consumerism comes the abandonment of tradition. But on an interesting point, Japan has found ways to incorporate some of its culture into profitable industry. A well-known example is the manga industry, in which some of these comics have become a phenomenon, with some even depicting traditional Japanese values such as Taoism. Another example of a mix between culture and industry is Japan's business in exporting well-crafted and traditional samurai swords. These swords can sell for thousands of dollars, easily making business profitable. But now for a more negative view, you can view China. In a scramble to catch up with the growing world industrially, China has compromised health for speed. Cheap labor, sometimes from foreign countries, has led to low health conditions and low quality standards. Yet it has managed to attract major business. A big example of such consumerism in China occurred only 2 years ago at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. The Olympics brought major business for China, especially with worldwide major brands requesting advertising space and to sell their products at the Olympics.
Thank you. While Mr. Lee does have some valuable points, his arguments forget to include very essential ones, namely pollution and the abuse of poor countries. This idea of Western consumerism is very hazardous to second and third world countries. I'll pick out some examples of China. In order to meet these demands of developed countries, China's mass pollution has brought pollution levels to a new high, as about 1/3 of carbon dioxide emissions were based around meetings and demands of these countries in the production of exports.
Oh, didn't see you there. Welcome to the 6 o'clock news. I'm Darby Sutter with Luke Crandall. Tonight we'll be addressing the reasons of consumerism in our country.
So, Kirby, what are some of the reasons why we are accepting consumerism in our country?
Well, right now there are a lack of jobs in our country. However, if it was to accept consumerism, the new factories would open up more jobs for our population.
Along with the opening up jobs, it would also help the population expand. With all the new population, we would have more money to support a larger family.
The population would also expand with the new immigration. With the acceptance of Western consumerism would come in.
As well as the expansion of the population, the new idea of industrialization will open up new trade. This, as well as a new beginning for goods, will help us form alliances with other countries.
And with the new allies come more military power. By accepting Western consumerism, it will revolutionize our technology and our military technology, and therefore making our country more powerful.